Picture yourself on your daily commute. Maybe you're listening to your favorite episode of the Yore Town Podcast with Zach and Matt. I'm Zach.
I'm Matt.
And I'm Meg.
And this is the Yore Town Podcast. So you're on your commute. Maybe you're a private business owner. Maybe you work on the Hill. Maybe you're a garbage man. Maybe you're the mayor. Who's to say? But as you're driving down New York 370, the gorgeous yet disgusting Onondaga Lake stretches out next to you, and as you round a bend entering the Syracuse city limits, a small marvel of man's triumph over nature emerges. Jutting out of the serene coastal landscape, a sharp, angular truss bridge, that was difficult.
It's hard to say sometimes.
Made of 19th century wrought iron and steel rivets. The Onondaga Lake Parkway Bridge is a 230-ton load-bearing railway overpass rockered by huge stone and concrete abutments. But it isn't the Ayn Randian idea of man's triumph over nature which makes this bridge important and worthy of its place among the weird history of the area. Rather, the fact that it rises only 10 feet 9 inches above grade has made it a frequent terminal destination for dozens upon dozens of commercial vehicles since the completion of New York Route 370 in 1930.
I mean, times were different in 1930.
For sure.
I feel like vehicles might have got bigger.
I would probably say that's fair to say.
I mean, you're not going to see many Amish buggies getting hit by this thing, right?
No, I think the Amish have an undefeated record against the bridge. I'm pretty sure there's no high-rise Amish buggies. I also don't know how many are driving through Liverpool either. I've never really seen too many Amish in Liverpool, but
yeah, it's not like they're probably fishing in Onondaga Lake. That's for sure, unless they're trying to catch the Simpsons style fish that comes out with like three eyes. Yeah.
A long trip.
It is a long trip. The fish would be bad by the time it got back. The fish are bad when they come out of there, but
they'd eat it like sushi.
Gross.
Anyways,
370 is pretty cool in its own right as a road and a structure. In the industrial boom of the late 19th and 20th centuries, the demands of our rapidly growing country meant a section of the Oswego Canal had to be filled in, and what would become 370 was then built on top of this former waterway. The bridge itself, though, predates the roadway, having been built in 1871, and the first train crossed the overpass as a test run in November 6th of that year.
So they built everything over the old canal?
Yep. So there was a chunk of the canal that ran parallel to the lake. And then as the boats and the loads and everything got bigger and that section of the canal needed more repairs, they said, hey, we're going to reroute this part. The boats are just going to go through Onondaga Lake and then connect with the Erie Canal. And there's another one. It's escaped me now, but the Erie Canal, obviously being the big one.
Yeah.
Erie Canal used to still runs through Canastota. Call back to the Carmen Basilio episode. Go back and check that out.
And they have a cool song.
They do have a cool song.
Maybe that's why the Oswego one went out of business and use, because there was just no cool song. It was like, I'm going to go to the Oswego Canal when I can go right to the Erie Canal instead.
Yeah, poor branding was the death of that section of the Oswego Canal. Yep.
Interesting. Okay. And obviously there might be some people that are listening not near where we're from, and the canals and stuff are used for shipping and everything, because there's the St. Lawrence River and there's all sorts of places. So shipping is really big for Canada, for US and everything, to do the channel. So they need these channels to navigate these huge boats to different places. So
yeah, it could be a series of episodes in and of itself, but we live right on the coastline of the St. Lawrence River, which is part of the major St. Lawrence Seaway, which connects all of the inland Great Lakes in the upper Midwest to the Atlantic Ocean.
We do need to do something on the Seaway, so we'll put that in the notes.
Yeah, we'll pin that one.
Okay, back at it.
Yeah. The bridge stood unbothered for nearly 50 years, but sometime in the 1950s, local news outlets began reporting motor vehicle incidents involving commercial vehicles and the bridge, despite there being a long-standing ban on commercial vehicle traffic through that stretch of 370. Or there was a couple other things before it was 370, but we're just going to call it 370 for brevity's sake. The exact details of these early encounters aren't recorded, but the first major collision occurred on July 19th, 1960, when it was reported a commercial vehicle collided with the bridge and caused $14,000 in miscellaneous damages. Whew. Matriculated into today's dollars, it's $145,000 in damage between the bridge and the vehicle.
On that one accident.
One accident, $145K. Whack.
Wow.
So there's a gap, though, in the record between this 1960 collision.
Mm-hmm.
But from context clues and bridging off what Matt said earlier, if there were any collisions, they weren't too noteworthy anyway. Most commonly, commercial vehicles of the time would get wedged under the bridge, or they would simply scrape the bottom. It wasn't until 1992 when this bridge began its reign of terror over commercial drivers, either not from the area or too ignorant to realize their own physical limitations. On January 17th of that year, so 1992, a tractor trailer hauling 40,000 pounds of an undisclosed corrosive powder struck the bridge and dumped part of its load onto the public roadway.
Yeesh.
Later that same year, a commercial vehicle struck the bridge and dumped kegs of beer.
Oof.
I would way rather roll up on the keg of beer topsy-turvy incident than the 40,000 pounds of an undisclosed corrosive powder.
If it's undisclosed corrosive powder, that means it was some nasty shit. And probably around that time, they didn't have, obviously, the social media, but they didn't have, there wasn't a way that they were going to get in a lot of trouble releasing it.
Yeah.
And that there's still probably birds and animals that are not there or all died and they're continually dying.
Yeah, there's some nasty, I can't imagine the nasty shit if they, especially because and I'll mention it later on, but this bridge is huge on Reddit.
I bet.
There is just internet dudes all over the world that are just wanting this bridge to take out everything. And I don't mention it. I chose not to mention it very much later on, but Syracuse is becoming a hotbed for Amazon shipping and Amazon warehouses. And that is a very contentious thing down there. And so the big thing is that realistically, people are taking money on how many Amazon trucks this bridge is going to take out.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I'd throw some down on that if they get the over-under. I'd say you set the over-under about 8. No, that's no, just for Amazon. That's a lot. I'm going to say 1.5.
Yeah.
A year.
Yeah.
Interesting. You know what they should do to get more tourism and stuff like that? Because I'm assuming later in your episode, and I'm not going to do this, that New York and these people are spending a lot of money to educate people.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm assuming that's in there. But what they need to do to help with the education is, and then this isn't going to go on a tangent for you, but I think you would appreciate this, is they make it one of those Pokemon Go stops.
Yeah.
So you get a bunch of people going there.
Yep.
They educate themselves and maybe put up some cute, cool murals and stuff like that, so you can get your picture taken on it. And
yep.
All right, you're welcome, New York.
Yep. Somebody that's a level 38 or above on Pokemon Go needs to suggest that the Parkway is a Pokestop. If it isn't already, it might be. I don't know.
Let's do the thing, and make sure you tag Yore Town or give credit. We'll just take 1% of all sales.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, beer truck, 1995.
It's probably Genesee.
I hope not. That'd be so sad.
It'd be a waste, but it'd be.
It would be.
It could be in Rochester. I mean,
well, this is Syracuse,
right? But I'm saying Rochester area.
Enough,
they could have been hauling. Anyways.
Yeah. So anyways, beer was dumped in 1992, and then in 1995, a commercial foodstuffs truck struck the bridge as well, spilling miscellaneous foodstuffs material all over the place. So then in 1996, this is kind of when we enter the first major explosion of monitoring and issues with this bridge. In 1996, a man by the name of Ray McDougal from the local Department of Transportation released a statement claiming the bridge had been struck around 50 times in the 50 years prior to 1996.
He's guessing. That's a made-up number.
Yeah.
No offense, Ray.
Yeah. I mean, Ray, you're a real one. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
The public comment must have gotten drivers all fired up because from then until 2010, the bridge was struck roughly 15 times.
Wow.
Culminating in a September 11th, 2010 incident where a megabus collided with the bridge, leaving 4 dead and 20 injured.
Never forget. That's a rough day for that to happen.
Yeah. Megabus, for those who don't know, I don't know how big Megabus is. Megabus is just I don't know if it's a New York State or whatever, but it's just a 2-tiered, privately held mass transit system. It's a 2-tiered bus. So you just got to think 2-tiered bus like you see in like in England. The bridge is only 10 feet tall. It's a bad incident. The pictures are gnarly. We'll have them up on the Instagram.
It's it just to let you know too, it is the North American equivalent to the European megabus.
Okay.
Headquarters are actually in Peterborough, Canada.
Oh, no
So
shit.
it's a like a coach system that operates in Eastern, Southern, Midwestern, and Western, and Pacific, U.S. and Canada.
Okay, so Megabus is out there.
Pretty
then.
big.
Okay.
The logo, I don't know about him.
That creepy dude.
Creepy guy,
Yeah,
all
I
yellow.
hate that.
I think it's actually,
logo.
rumor has it, that's where the Savannah Banana got his origins. He was on a megabus, didn't make the pros, so he was he decided to dress all yellow and see what he can come up with.
I think the Savannah Banana should then sue for the IP of that, so the Megabus has to change it because I don't like that logo.
We'll take 1% of that as well.
Yeah, we'll take it. The incident was big for multiple reasons. Not only were human lives lost or dramatically impacted by the event, it was the first time we saw a trend which has led to the majority of collisions since, and that is commercial drivers. So drivers driving buses, tractor trailers, dry vans, that sort of thing, using personal, non-commercial GPS devices to plan their routes. These devices have most commonly been readily available things like Garmin's and TomTom dashboard navigation devices, or now getting closer to the contemporary time, cell phone navigation apps like Apple Maps and Google Maps.
Yep. I was gonna say, yeah, nowadays it has to be much better because they can tell you when there's the apps on your phone. I'm a Google guy because Apple sucks, mainly because of when they put stuff on your phone from YouTube. Anyways, they even tell you when speed traps are and stuff like that. So I have to imagine, and we'll hear more a little bit if they.
Well, I'll take a second because I don't really touch on it again. But to that point, though, I didn't know this, but there are actually commercial grade, let's call them, navigation apps that you can actually input like the vehicle you're driving.
Yeah.
And it'll plan your route based on your vehicle. But if you're just on your iPhone and you're just type in wherever you're going, obviously Google Maps doesn't understand that you're driving a semi truck or a dump truck or a dry van or something like that.
Yep, they'll do this too with when you're hauling like campers and stuff like that.
Okay.
And I've noticed it too, and it can't be ironic, but when we're taking a route that has our camper, we typically go a different route according to the Google Maps than they kind of have us.
All right,
there,
so it is getting into the.
We're gonna have to take our camper and go under this bridge and see what happens.
Wait, hold that thought because that's coming up. Anyway, this incident led to a huge transfer of cash in multiple ways. Up front, Megabus had to dole out huge settlements to the survivors and the families of those who lost their lives. Disclosed settlements range from $3.1 million to $675,000. But comments from lawyers around the close of the court proceedings remarked that the actual final sums far surpass amounts disclosed in official court documents.
Oof.
On the other side, New York State DOT began shelling out massive amounts of taxpayer dollars in hopes to avoid another fatal incident like this one, namely a dramatic amount of signage. And when I say dramatic, there's really absolutely zero reason why anybody in anything more than a Honda Civic should feel like they are safe going under this bridge. I mean, it is like those pictures from like Hong Kong where there's like 17 layers of billboards and stuff. Like,
and I have to imagine miles before you're going to see some warnings. It's not like you're just going to drive up doing 65 and be able to be like,
they even offer a couple like turnaround spots.
Yeah.
They've
overdone it.
Yeah. So the amount of signage, and then they installed an overheight vehicle detection system, which warns commercial drivers well in advance of the bridge. Ignorance of these early warning signs then became punishable by law in the form of heavy fines and eventual license suspensions and CDL suspensions and all that sort of thing.
It's funny how it worked that way, where New York's like, you know what? We've shelled out a lot of money. Now, if you hit it, you're getting fined. You're actually going to pay us money for you hitting it.
Exactly. Unfortunately, this did not do much. And in 2012, the New York State DOT reported an additional, you ready for this, Matt?
I'm ready.
49 collisions between 2012 and 2010.
Jeez.
To put this into perspective, statewide commercial vehicles on average collide with an overpass about 3 times a year. So in all of the rest of the state, only 3 overpass collisions a year.
That's wild.
49 in 2 years on this one bridge. So obviously Onondaga Parkway Bridge is the outlier in that arithmetic, and New York State DOT chooses not to include that in their average numbers that they publish.
Yeah, they couldn't, right?
They couldn't.
No.
I wish I could say time has healed all wounds, but in the case of this beloved bridge, that is not true. Since 2012 until the present day, there have been another 51 reported collisions with the bridge. Although I couldn't find it spelled out in plain English.
What about Spanish?
Spanish?
No.
Neither.
Okay.
I get the gist that the number is derived only from collisions requiring the assistance of emergency personnel. So the true number is unknown.
Yeah, I mean, because they would, or that, if even nowadays you have to file at least a report for insurance.
Yep.
So you'd be able to find that somewhere.
Yep. And if when you drive under that overpass and you do look up,
Mhm.
I mean, there's things scraping that thing every single day.
Yikes.
Like it looks like the bottom of a skateboard.
Yep.
You know, it's
minus
rough.
the stickers.
Minus the cool stickers.
We're gonna put a Yore Town sticker.
Is it really that unknown that people still chance driving under it when
Yeah.
they have large vehicles?
It's not that it's unknown. I think it's just ignorance.
Like, I don't
It
want to
just-
add another 5 minutes to my route by
Exactly.
going this way when I can go this way and go over this old canal.
Yep.
That's stupid.
And I think I think the big thing too, and I've never driven a vehicle that doesn't fit under there, so I've never had to go an alternate route.
Mhm.
But I think if you don't go that way to get between Liverpool and Syracuse, you have to take the throughway. or
Ooh,
like
a couple
bomb-
dollars.
Or like bomb through like downtown Syracuse and hit all like the old local access roads.
Which I would not. You got to think you're hauling something.
Yeah.
You probably don't want to go city route. That's
Yeah.
just a pain. And then depending what you're hauling, you could, run into some issues with being in downtown Syracuse
Yeah.
with the the residents down there. But I mean, yeah, the throughway, add a couple bucks. I mean,
Yeah.
But then maybe you start getting into, if you're on the throughway, then maybe you hit the way stations.
So that's actually what I was just about to bring up and this is just what I gathered from the many Reddit threads on the Syracuse subreddit. Is that it's the scuttlebutt is that the commercial vehicles that hit the bridge typically are in violation of DOT regulations anyway.
Yeah.
So they're
That's
trying to get away from a way station. They're trying to get away from a load check. They're trying to get away from roadblocks, and they just get leveled by a bridge
Mhm.
instead. So
There's that.
it is what it is.
Yep.
But yeah, so in this carnage and mayhem since 2012, here's a couple highlights.
Ooh.
A family-laden RV ran into the bridge in the summer of 2017. A box truck from a local wholesaler became wedged under the bridge, immovable for 2 hours in
That's
2021.
traffic jam when you're already late. It's
Yep.
like a no smoking sign on your cigarette break.
Exactly. Isn't it ironic?
Mm-hmm.
A dump truck full of gravel in 2022.
Oof.
A commercial van that wasn't really hashed into too much, but it bears being included because it resulted in 22 citations.
That's a big ass van, though, right?
Yeah, big ass van. I'm assuming it's one of those big, like swoop nosed, like
Astro vans.
no, like a dry van, like a shipping van.
Ah, gotcha.
That was on March 31st of this year, and then most recently, an Amazon truck.
Oh, there's one.
Yep, there's one. Struck the bridge, resulting in near total loss of product,
Mhm.
and 14 citations, totaling somewhere in like the $25,000 to $40,000 range, depending on where you're looking.
That's why my friggin' package didn't make it.
That's why you got all that rice.
Yeah, so much rice.
But despite the carnage, the internet always wins.
Always.
The bridge and the shenanigans surrounding it is a common pin thread on the Syracuse subreddit, and gawkers from all over the area in cyberspace have dubbed the bridge the undefeated heavyweight champion of Central New York.
Oh, imagine if Carmen had something to say.
Well, he
to
was
that.
a welterweight.
Oh, fair enough.
This claim is backed up by a 1996 DOT investigation, which found the over 100-year-old bridge. That's over 100-year-old in 1996.
What's the math on that?
I don't know, man. You're the math guy.
Okay.
Megh.
She was sneezing.
She was
It's
sneezing.
127 years
Yeah.
old today.
So
Happy 127th birthday, Bridge.
yeah, nearly 130-year-old bridge. It was remarked to be remarkably well constructed and seemingly unaffected by the numerous collisions up until that point. Going forward, it doesn't look like anything is going to be done about the issue beyond signage and attempts to educate drivers and hefty fines and court fees. The bridge is owned by railway juggernaut CSX,
Uh,
and they have no plans of fronting the cost to raise the bridge.
No.
They are open to the idea of the bridge being raised, but only if the state pays for it.
Naturally.
And current rules prohibit the road from being lowered because it is already at water level with the lake. And it cannot be below the water level of the lake.
Yeesh.
And the lake is literally feet away from the shoulder of 370.
There's not a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, there's not much wiggle room there.
Not an engineer, but you would need a pretty smart one.
Yeah, it's almost like that road was a canal first.
Yeah, and not that the canal was 14 foot deep, so you know what I mean. They couldn't have went a little bit lower with the roadway and just left the bridge. But hey,
you know, we're not civil engineers.
No, not at all. I'm not confidently sure I could spell engineer without spell check. Anyways,
I just tried to spell it in my head to be smug, but I wasn't even confident with it. So,
but what's crazy to me too is 10 foot, 9 inches?
10 foot, 9 inches. Yep.
I mean, you got guys that can jump 12 foot. That's almost 10 foot as a basketball hoop. I mean, you think about it.
Shaq could walk underneath it and slap it.
Yeah, Yao Ming has to duck under it probably. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not actually. I know he's 7'7", but you can get us in the comments. But it's just crazy to me to think that it's almost the size, and that you couldn't probably roll a basketball hoop under it because it's 10 foot to the rim to the ground.
Oh yeah,
and then the backboard is at least you could not wheel a basketball hoop for a pickup game underneath the bridge.
Yep.
And then these people, you know what I mean?
Driving 18 wheelers.
Flying under it.
Yeah, and the speed limit I think is 45 on 370 right there.
Oh, I said 60. I had no idea. I've never gone under this bridge, and I lived in Liverpool at some point in my life. So
yeah, it's
interesting.
It's silly.
There's going to be a lot of cool pictures, so make sure obviously you guys check out the Instagram because I'm on. It's probably one of your sources, but I'm on Syracuse.com as we're doing this. Just Megh and myself because when Zach writes when we write episodes and it's heavy there, that person does it. We don't read it, so we can live react at our thing. And I'm looking at pictures of it for the first time, old ones. There's some good stuff that comes out. In good by meaning educational. There's not good in this terms of there's just carnage.
None of it has a happy ending.
Yeah, I mean, there was a meat truck in Onondaga Lake that spilled boxes of meat in 1987. There's dudes with no shirts on in the 80s just grabbing meat and trying to load it into a different sausages. Truck. And like you said, you can see the background of the very polluted lake in the back. It's wild.
It's a lot of impressive damage.
Yes.
Ooh. Carnage, they say. But either way.
So, yeah, I mean, unless the lake starts to recede or the state pays millions and millions of dollars, you just got to keep your eyes peeled while you're on 370.
Yeah.
Because you never know when the heavyweight champion of the region will reach out and bite you. Bang.
I see what you did there.
Yeah. So in closing, here you go, Matt. I want you to try to say the name. Turkish playwright.
Mehmet Murat İldan.
That's exactly how I would have said it.
I pre-read it because I thought, and I've been working this out in my head because I'm like, this guy he's gonna go and be like, oh, because Matt can't say names. I've been practicing for 10 minutes in my head, and we've been recording for 20. So
yes. In closing, words from Turkish playwright Mehmet Murat İldan. No one has gone from ignorance to wisdom quickly. You can't make a short crossing over a long bridge.
Oh, that's perfect.
Sources for today's episode include Wikipedia, of course, the Syracuse.com, the Post Standard, their archive, Reddit, Syracuse subreddit, and Goodreads for the quote.
I like it.
Yeah.
That was a fun episode. Can't obviously thank you enough. Zach, Megh, the trio that nobody ever saw coming is in here. Make sure you guys follow us on all the social medias. You guys can check out yoretown.com. You can go to beacons.ai/yoretown and it has all the links for not only the episodes, but the Instagrams, the Twitter we don't do a lot with. I don't know. We'll try to tweet more, but all sorts of good stuff. Don't check out the Facebook because we haven't done a damn thing with it. But either way, it was a fun episode. Can't thank you enough. We'll come back next week with another episode about some stuff that you truly are going to like. But yeah, check it out. All the socials. Can't thank you enough. And that's all we got. Take care, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.